Hello and welcome to this 3-part live workshop here on Facebook. It's called Beyond Technique, Transform Your Playing from the Inside Out. And by playing, I mean lots of dimensions of playing, but we're talking about playing our instrument. And remember that we often forget that playing is about playing. It's not all about working. In fact, thinking about things as hard work, working on your technique. Can we just play on our technique for once? Wouldn't that be nice? All right, so this is a 3-part series. I'm Jennifer Roig-Francolí, by the way, the Art of Freedom coach. And I'm going to be talking to you today and tomorrow on Sunday and on Monday. This is May 10th, 11th, and 12th. And 2025. So I'm really happy to be here and to have you here. And I also invite you to interact with this video. I would love to get your comments and your emojis flying around. Those are always fun. And they also help with the algorithm so more people can see this video. So I'm very grateful for your comments and your likes. And also, if you happen to like this and you're watching it and you want to share it, that's great too. Thank you so much for your support. So let's dive in. Actually, before we do that, I want to check on my screen just so that I can see comments and say hello as you're coming in. I know sometimes it takes a moment to kick in. So here we are. Yes, I'm actually seeing this. Yes, so I should be able to see your comments as they come in. There might be a little delay, but I'm hooked up here on my phone and my laptop. So, hey, Rick, hello. I'm so glad you're here. I'm really glad you found me. It's great to have you here. And anybody else who's here, please say hello, drop your emojis, your comments, and I would love to interact with you. So here's what's on the agenda. This 3-part series is called Beyond Technique, Transform Your Playing from the Inside Out. And today's video is number 1. It's called The Primary Instrument, Why Technical Mastery Begins Within. I don't often do videos on technique because I think of technique as something that is a result of what you're doing with your whole self. And I don't think enough people talk about that. So I feel like that is my mission in the world, is to really speak to the essence of who we are as artists, as musicians, and to work on this instrument. This is an instrument that we are using to express ideas in the world. And hello, Cynthia, I'm so glad you're here too. Yeah, so primary instrument, what do I mean by that? I mean the whole self. I'm talking about the mind, the body, the brain. The brain is part of the body, obviously, and mind happens in the brain and in the body. There's talk about the gut being the second brain. That's science these days. And then we also have emotions. Emotions are chemicals, and there's just so much going on in the body that is not just the body. The mind and the body cannot be separated. And the emotions are part of the mind and the body. Everything's intertwined and interconnected. But you know what? What I am really excited about offering, and this is why I call it the Art of Freedom method, is because there is a magical sense of freedom that we can have as artists that we really need to be able to tap into. I call it inspiration. You can call it creative magic, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you look at classical music scores, they say con spirito a lot of times. I saw that when I was a kid. And I grew up in an atheist, agnostic household. There was no talk of spirituality, religion, or anything, for better or for worse. But I had an innate sense that there was something really special going on that made me see the words con spirito, and I knew what it meant. And my parents are wonderful, loving people, and that love is part of what I think of as spirit. And inspiration, to me, is inseparable from the concept of love. So really, when we're talking about transforming our playing from the inside out, I'm talking about being able to go to the core, the heart of who we are. And that is our freedom to be ourselves, but to be our whole selves. And that includes the love in our heart. So gotta start there if we want to connect with our audiences, for example. If you want to be a good teacher, educator, you need to be able to connect from heart to heart to your students. So when we focus so much on technique, what are our fingers doing, double steps, slides, arpeggios, all that kind of stuff, it's really important. But it's really, I said it wrong in my video the other day, it's putting the cart before the horse. We're going for results instead of really going to the core, to the heart of things. Now, like I said, everything is connected. If we are connecting with our love, our inspiration, all of that in the heart, that is not disconnected. Well, unfortunately it is all too often and too many people, too much of the time. But ideally, and in fact, the heart is not disconnected from our thoughts, our brain, the body, how we move our fingers. It's all connected again, right? So why technical mastery begins within is because if you disconnect your love, joy, passion, your heart's desire, why you fell in love with music in the first place, if you are disconnected from that, then it's really hard to get things to do what you want them to do. You can get them to do what you want them to do. In fact, there are endless examples out there on YouTube. You just go to YouTube, look up some of the most famous musicians in the world and watch their videos, and they're amazing and they blow you away with their technique. The best artists are also doing it from the heart. But most of them are disconnected. Just to be blunt about it, most people are disconnected from their hearts, and they've practiced being disconnected. Tomorrow, in video number 2, we're going to talk about practicing, so I don't want to get too much into that. I will, though, tomorrow. But for today, I really want to talk about why it's so important to reconnect with yourself as the primary instrument, and how that really creates the foundation for technical freedom and artistic expression. So, if you're disconnected, what does that even mean? What does it mean to be disconnected? Well, let me give you an example. If I go like this and I tell you I'm really, really, really excited, and I talk like this and I'm exaggerating to make it really obvious, but you see how tight I am, okay? And I'm sure you feel that in yourself right now watching me. It's probably harder to breathe. Okay, so sorry for making you suffer, but this is the point I'm trying to make. Now, if I can be in a great mood and really excited, but I'm really tight. And so imagine I'm going on stage and I'm so excited and I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm going to share everything with you because I love it so much. And I'm going to grab my violin and I'm going to keep all that tension and I'm going to play with that tension. And right, it's going to sound, I don't know, I can play a fast scale and it works because I've had a lifetime of experience doing that, but the sound is going to be kind of crashing, scratchy, and I'm just not present. I am not truly connected to my heart, even though I might think I am, because I might feel so excited and so much passion, and I'm like, oh, listen to this note, it's so beautiful, right? But sure, okay, it is to a certain point, but I'm talking about being able to fulfill our biggest, most expansive, I've got to stand back and show you, like huge, expansive, giant, dramatically wonderful, whole soul, mind, body, spirit kind of loving openness, free expression where you just get to be your best self without any effort. Wouldn't that be nice if you didn't have to push to prove what you can do. As soon as you try to prove what you can do, sorry, I need to let go of all that tension that I was demonstrating. Actually, let me go into that because I also talked about how you can experience immediate improvement in your playing through simple awareness practices. So how do we address the root of technical challenges? Let's say I'm a student or I'm a high-profile professional. I mean, the work that I do is really powerful at any level, but I work a lot with professional musicians, professional string players, right? And let's say I'm a professional. I've been playing for decades. I mean, that's the truth. That's who I am, right? I've been playing my entire life since I was at the age of 4, literally. So let's say I want to work on my sound because it's just not as lovely as I would like it to be. In fact, it was really scratchy. Right? So let's say I've been trying and I've been working on my sound, wanting to project and wanting it to be open and resonant and fluid and flexible and luscious and gorgeous and all those juicy things that I want. Let's say I want that. As soon as I try to make that happen and force my sound, guess what? I get tight. Now, sometimes it's really obvious, like I made it really obvious now, okay? And if I had wanted to make it sound really good like that, I could have made it sound better than I did. I was just exaggerating. But the truth is, even if you're tense, and we all know that we have more tension than necessary, right? Put a yes into the comments. By the way, I'm going to look at the chat afterwards, so please chat away. Mary Himmer, hello. BJ Ant, hello, welcome. So glad you're here. I would love for everybody to say hello and give me feedback. Tell me what's resonating with you, what makes sense to you, what's interesting. I will look at the chat. I'm going to take a break to read the stuff, and then at the end, I'm going to read things and respond. So I would love to, have you interacting with us. So, as I was saying, I was playing with tension, and it sounded at a certain level. What I want is to get it up to a higher level. Can you relate to that? I think everybody can relate to that there's an endless potential that we can keep improving. There are, even if you're Joshua Bell or Hilary Hahn or Itzhak Perlman, I'm just naming violinists, right? Even if you are the top of the top, Agustina Hadlich, all these names, even if you're at the top of your game, there is room for abundant improvement. That's why Pablo Casals, cellist, great cellist, famous cellist, like the cellist, Pablo Casals said something like in his 90s, he was asked why he keeps practicing, and he says, because I finally feel like I'm getting somewhere, right? There's always room for improvement, right? So let's say you're at this level and you're hearing subtle things because you're a very accomplished musician. You're hearing the stuff nobody else hears. This is what happened to me in my teen years. I heard the stuff that my teachers weren't hearing, or at least they weren't telling me, right? More likely they weren't telling me. Actually, I was working with Joseph Gingold at Indiana University. Lovely, lovely man. One of the best, greatest, most famous pedagogues in history of teaching violin. And I would show up to my lessons every week and bring something different every week because he would first spend a few minutes. Well, first I need to play through the whole piece. So I sometimes played through the whole movement of concerto or several movements of a sonata. I just play. He'd have me play and just keep playing. So I would play, and afterwards he would just tell me how great it was and how wonderful I was and how beautiful and talented and creative, and I really just wanted some teaching because I was used to nitpicky kind of teaching that was very highly detailed in technique and musicianship coming from David Cerrone from the Cleveland Institute of Music. So it was huge night and day contrast. So I got to Joseph Gingold and he didn't tell me anything. He just told me how wonderful things were because he trusted me to teach myself, which I was not good at yet. So then he told me stories for the rest of the lesson, which was fun, but yeah, it wasn't exactly what I expected. And I've had to figure out how to teach myself. The point is, I was already at a high level. So let's say you're at this very high level. You're very accomplished. You're teaching at a world-class institution. You're playing with world-class orchestras. You are a soloist. You are a concert master. You are at a very, very high level, but you know something's missing in your technique and nobody's being able to help you with it, really. The reason is that most likely you are approaching it like 99.999% of other people, which is by looking at results, effects, rather than the cause. The way I look at it is that when you're integrated, when you have the 5 life pillars integrated, my 5 life pillars of the Art of Freedom method for conscious living and masterful artistry, that's my work. The 5 life pillars are purpose. That's your heart's desire, your purpose, your soul's purpose for being alive here on this earth, whether you know what it is or not. To be in touch with wondering about that. When you're practicing, when you're performing, being in touch with your large human divine purpose, whatever you want to call it. We all have this sense that there is meaning, and we need to be in touch with that. Not just the meaning that Bach put into his music, not just the meaning of a Beethoven concerto and that particular phrase and that beautiful sunny lawn or that beach scenario you're conjuring up in your imagination when you're playing. Not that. That's something secondary, and that's, can be useful too. But I'm talking about big, deep purpose, meaning, life purpose, heart, spirit, living purpose. Why are you a musician? Why are you still making music even though you get frustrated sometimes? Because you are in love with something deep. Connecting with purpose, that is the first of the 5 life pillars. Then we have the mind. What are you doing with your thinking? Right now, what are you doing with your thinking? Just pause for a moment. Let's take a pause. Because actually mind, body, and spirit, I like to put them together. You can't really separate them. So right now, let's take a moment. I want you to pause, unless you're driving. Right? Don't close your eyes. In fact, keep your eyes open no matter where you are, because my work actually is, we want to stay open to the world and take in the things that we're seeing and experiencing. You need to be able to see a conductor if you're in an orchestra and you want to connect with your audience. So having the eyes open is a good practice when you're doing things that take you inward instead of the habit of closing the eyes like when we meditate. That's fine, but for right now, let's keep them open and see what happens. Bring your curiosity back to your whole self. Just notice what you're thinking. Be curious. When you're performing, if you're disconnected from your whole self, where do your thoughts go? They probably go to wanting to get something right. You might be looking ahead in the music a little bit, seeing what's coming. It's important to look ahead, but the way I teach it is different. I actually was taught growing up. I had excellent teachers that I will be forever grateful for, starting with my mother, my first music teacher, my mother. They always taught me to be present with every note that I was playing as I was playing it. That's some of the best advice I've ever gotten. And if you really think about it, that little bit of advice is connected to pillar number 1, purpose. How do you be present with one note? How can you be present with the note you're playing if you're not also present with everything else? What I mean is, how can you be present with the note you're playing if you're not aware of what you're thinking, you're not aware of what you're feeling emotionally, you're not aware of the inspiration that's coming to you, that's lighting you up, and feeding your flow, how can you be present with that note and immediately the next note and the next note, and then actually go into that river of a flow of phrasing? How can you do that if you're not able to do that in everyday life? So what does this have to do with working on technique? The topic for today, why technical mastery begins with it. Because again, if I want to work on that example I gave before, if I want to work on improving my sound quality, if it's kind of scratchy, if I approach my instrument with more tension than necessary, it'll sound okay because I'm a good violinist. But if I stop doing all that extra stuff and I prioritize being present in myself, I am curious about my purpose and happy. By the way, my purpose includes happiness. I don't know about yours, but I like to be happy. So there's much more to my purpose than that, but maybe not. Maybe that's all there is. I don't know. It's long, but I enjoy being happy in a way that floods my cells and my brain, my body, my thoughts, my emotions, I like to be happy with every single part of me. So if I can connect to that and at the same time not hold on to it, that's the tricky part. I can wake up inspiration. I can get inspired and be, connected to love and light within me and be excited about sharing that. If I can do that and let it go and be in the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and watch and just be curious. I don't know if you could hear it because this is Facebook. I don't know if you could tell the difference in the sound quality between those two notes. Maybe it was too subtle to be picked up, but I really noticed the difference. I noticed, and I had no idea how it was going to come out. To be perfectly honest, doing a video live like this with my violin these days is potentially very terrifying. And before this video, I got those performance nerves, right? But I know how to turn that into excitement, thank God. And I also have learned over a lifetime that taking a risk usually works out well if I'm connected to my primary instrument. That's a big if. I have to know how to do that. And that, I've been working on this my entire life, honestly. Since I was a child, I was a very creative, very introspective, very shy child. Pretty smart. I thought a lot. I read a lot. and a lot of the time I was not very happy. I saw a lot of unhappiness in my life, in the world around me. And I didn't know that as a child, but children pick up everything, for better or for worse. So I asked deep questions when I was a child. And I remember very well some of those questions and how I felt and lying on my bed just wondering about life and all these things. So I've been thinking about and exploring with personal development, we call it these days, right? I've been working on these things my entire life. When I was 19, I was introduced to the concept of spirituality for the first time, and I immediately was interested in it. I thought, wow, you're kind of putting words to something I experience when I play the violin, but I never called it spirituality. And so I was very fascinated by that concept. For me, I call that inspiration. When you get inspired, it has the word spirit in it. You don't have to be religious to believe in inspiration. And yeah, this is what I love most to teach. And this is really the key to technical mastery. Hold on, I lost my chat here. So Yeah. Hi. Oh, Mary says it's interesting how to learn technique and also realize I am my primary instrument. Yes. So, yeah, just to wrap up. We all carry around more tension than necessary. The tension, if I wanted to distill it into like one reason why we carry that around, it's fear. And if I wanted to, again, simplify everything, distill it down into what's most essential, the essence of things is like we get to choose. Do you want to live with a fear-based attitude or a love-based attitude? When there's fear, even subtle fear like my feeling a little nervous excitement before this video, or right now I'm doing a little bit of it. I'm a little tense right now. I'm sure you could tell when I just let go of it. It's a practice. I'm practicing this as much as I can whenever I remember when I'm choosing to do that. Unfortunately, we don't always make the best choices, and it's not possible to be practicing these things all the time. But when I do let go of the tension by getting curious about it without judging it, this is where specific tools that I teach my students come in. The first one is called ima. That means now in Japanese, where we actually start to notice, and you can do it right now really quick. What are you noticing about your body? If you notice anything at all, positive, negative, neutral, if you can develop the response of being curious about that thing you're noticing. Just be curious without judging it. Just notice it and be with what you're experiencing right now. If you can be with that for just a few moments, don't get stuck there. Don't start going off into analyzing and trying to figure out and going into the past. Oh, this hurts because XYZ. Don't do that. Just experience it in the present, because if you do that, you are allowing it to change. You're not putting it into a box. You're allowing it to change. Stay there just for a few moments and then ask, okay, that's interesting. What else is showing up? You got to keep moving on. Let the flow happen in you by following it with your mind. You've got to wake up childlike, playful. Like I said at the beginning, we are playing our instruments. Play this primary instrument that is your mind, body, emotional, spiritual self, your whole self. Have this childlike, playful quality that's joyful, potentially joyful, even if you are not joyful. And nobody can be joyful all the time. We have really scary, horrible things happening because we're human, and suffering is a part of living in this world, in this body. There's no way around that. We are going to suffer. But when you notice that you're suffering, can you be with it and not judge it and bring an innocent, curious quality? That's what I mean by childlike. It's innocent and curious. And if you can muster the playfulness, that's great. If you can't, don't judge that. Just get curious. Be with what you're experiencing. Let it move. Let it flow. And then pick up your instrument and play around and find out what happens. If you're working on double stops, what if there weren't a right way to do it? If you're working on vibrato, what if there isn't just one right way to do it? What if you have an inner wise teacher in your heart and whole self that knows even better than this thinking prefrontal cortex mind of yours? What if your inner teacher is wise and really knows beyond a shred of a doubt when something is actually good for you or not? Most of us are not in touch with that. And most of us need a teacher to give us feedback and show us. But it's not necessarily the kind of teacher, the kind of teaching that you're used to. Because especially if you have been practicing for decades and performing for decades, and you're really good at what you do, but you know you're missing something, you don't just need another violin teacher. You don't need to go to another masterclass. You don't need to practice more. Truly, you don't. You just need to know what to practice. And it has to start with the primary instrument. You've got to practice reconnecting to yourself as the primary instrument in the ways that I've shown you in this holistic sense. Once you're connected deeply within, and that includes purpose and meaning, or at least wondering about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Once you're connecting, and it's not like you're suddenly connected, it's a process, it's unfolding, it's moment by moment. That's being present. When you can be present with yourself, your whole self, in the moment, and you bring that to your violin, viola, cello, bass, trombone, trumpet, cello, whatever your instrument is, if you bring your whole self to your instrument with that attitude that is curious to discover and grow and find that expansive, loving quality, bring that into your music, bring it into the nitty-gritty, minute details of your technique. Yes, practice scales, practice arpeggios, practice the etudes in your etude book. Yes, it's all important, but how you do it is everything. And this is not how people practice. And this is why people get frustrated. And this is why you're hitting, and you have been hitting for a long time, this kind of frustration and plateau, and your progress is more slow than you know deep inside that it could be. Not that it should be. It shouldn't be faster. It is exactly as it needs to be. And you are here right now because this is what you need to be hearing. I strongly believe this. So listen to, here, I'm going to finish up now and I'm going to leave you with this. If you have one more minute after I sign off, what if you could do nothing else? Like close your phone, turn off your computer for 1 minute, disconnect, and yes, close your eyes or keep them open and really just be present with yourself. Find out what's happening in the moment and just watch it. Don't judge it. And then maybe get curious about how you might bring that into working on your technique. This is the key to technical mastery at the highest level. I have no doubt. And I've been teaching it for a long time with the Alexander technique, but above all with the Art of Freedom method for conscious living and masterful artistry. So come again tomorrow. And what are we going to talk about tomorrow? Let me check. Tomorrow's on practicing. Tomorrow we go beyond technique and we're going to revitalize your practice with the power of presence. Very much like what we've talked about today, but we're going to talk more about practice sessions and what we're actually doing in a practice session. So if you're curious about that, come join me tomorrow. It's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern, Sunday, May 11th. Not at noon again, 3 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. That makes it easier for some different time zones. And on Monday, we're going to be talking about purpose-centered performance, playing with meaning in a world that desperately needs healing. So I'm excited to have you here. And thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to check the comments and then I'm going to send you to do your 1 minute of introspection like I suggested. If you want to do that now, go for it. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to just hop over to the comments now and see, I'm going to refresh my page and see what you got here. What's coming up? I'd love to see, oh no, I'm not seeing anything showing up here. I just refreshed. Oh no, that's right. It is there. Hold on 1 second. Trying to manage many things at once, which is what we humans do. Sometimes better than others. Okay, here, what am I seeing? Hey, and Rick and Debbie is here. 100 to you too. I love the, excuse me. I love the love the emojis. Thank you. Yeah, if you're watching the replay, you're watching this later, I'm not seeing anything else pop up. So, but if you have any questions, comments, anything at all, I would love to hear from you. And if it's something, then I might even address it in the video tomorrow if you got something. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not seeing anything else on my laptop, but here on my phone now, I'm just seeing a thank you from, hey, Rick. You're welcome. And okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. See you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Bye-bye.